Hey y'all, it's your girl Annette J. Morris. I am the owner and CEO of Go Getter LLC. Y'all know that already. And I am your host for the Mind TV series. Y'all know the Mind is moving in new direction. So every week we bring y'all a bomb entrepreneur. Y'all already know who this is. This is one of my favorite people that be on the couch every month. Y'all don't see him over and over again.
Yes.
But we gonna be talking about business, life. Y'all know he has a Dominion Network. So I'm just gonna let him come and remind y'all who he is. And we gonna jump right into it this week. Remind the people who you are. Just for the people that don't, the very few people that ain't tuned in every month and don't know, introduce yourself to the people.
I'm Shelton D. Johnson Sr. I'm the creator of Dominion Network and the number one advocate for Annette Morris on Mind TV.
We were just talking. It's so funny. Like, he's been my client for, at this point,
About
7 years. Like, I didn't even realize we had been working together that long, but that go to show you, like, when you have history with people and you do good business and you loyal to people, people are loyal to you. So I'm always appreciative for my clients that just keep on coming back because they know I'm crazy and they just keep coming back. Which means I attract crazy people. So let's talk about how the Dominion Network going.
We're doing great.
Good.
We're opening a lot of doors.
Of course.
You know, as with anything that's new in the marketplace, is very challenging. But other than that, I mean, we're definitely on the right path, and I'm excited.
Absolutely. It's always going to be working the kinks out. So if it's not challenging in the beginning, it's probably not worthwhile.
Right.
I was just talking to a guy yesterday and he was saying, like, he talks to a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of times what happens is that they take what they see on Instagram. You know what I mean? Instagram will make entrepreneurship look like a beautiful thing.
Right.
Oh, it's wonderful. You can make buku money. You'll get to 7 figures. They paint that picture.
Right.
They don't paint the real picture of, like, this probably gonna start off slow. You have to keep going and keep going with it in order for it to grow. So people on social media don't talk about it like that from their perspective. But the reality of any business that you start, it starts as a challenge, right? When you launch, you may have a good launch date. You may make a couple of $1,000s right off the bat. But once the excitement wears off, people stop supporting it, people stop buying, then what? Like, how do you get to that next level? And because you're a business owner, you a serial entrepreneur. What do you do to push past like that slow start?
Well, a lot of life is dependent on where we're looking from and where we're looking to, right? So a lot of people get started in business and they just start off with business. They have no real end goal in sight, and then their goals are not systematically in place. So what happens is we get into the launch date, the excitement comes, we make a few dollars, and then all of a sudden reality hits.
Right.
And then when reality hits, because we don't have a systematic goal process of how we're gonna get from where we start to where we wanna go, oftentimes once reality hits us, we won't recover.
Correct.
And so this is why a lot of times people get started in business and then 3 months, 6 months down the road, then they're out of business again.
And so what I was telling him, one of the things is when I coach my clients that are entrepreneurs, I always tell them, don't jump on the latest fad, right? Because if boutiques are making good money because they're selling clothes, is that what you're passionate about?
Right.
Do you feel like that's what God called you to do? My thing is, I feel like the gift is the only thing that's really going to make room for you.
Right.
Because that's the thing that has the promise. The Bible says the gift will make room for you. Don't say your talent and what you like to do and what you saw Susu doing. It says your gift will make room for you, right?
And notice that the gift is not plural.
Correct. It's one thing. And that's what I tell people. I'm like, it's one, like, you'll have many talents. Like, a talent is something that I can learn to do. The gift is the thing that I was created to do.
Right.
There's a difference between the two, right? So I can learn how to bake cakes. So at one time, I tell everybody, like, when I first started being an entrepreneur, because when you transition from being a full-time employee to a full-time entrepreneur, it's a difference, right? You've gone from a place where you have set paydays into a lifestyle where you don't know when you're gonna get paid, and if you don't work, you're not getting no money.
Right.
And so when I first went into entrepreneurship, I was like the ultimate hustler. I had 3 different businesses. I had a catering business, I had the consulting business, I had the nonprofit that had a behavioral health program attached to it. So I was making money from all 3.
Right.
But in my mind, like, oh, okay, if I don't work, I gotta hustle, I gotta do this and this and that or whatever, right? But in that hustle and in all of that or whatever, I was just doing too many things, right?
Right.
So, like, I like to cook, I like to bake, but I don't love that, right? I know how to do it really well.
Right.
I don't love it, right? So I started, when I got to a point where I almost experienced burnout, I was like, what can I eliminate, right? Which business should I close? Which business should I eliminate because this ain't working? Like, I'm about to be drained. I'm about to burn out. So naturally, I closed the catering business. That was the first thing I closed because I'm like, I like this. I don't love this. This ain't what I was created to do. But a lot of times we get confused and we like, okay, I'm good at this. Let me turn this into a business. That's not necessary. If you monetize your God-given gift, that can be a business that sustains you for a lifetime, even your legacy.
Right, without a doubt. And so with business, one of the things is that, and this is us as African Americans, is we don't read, we don't research, right? So in business, there's three things that ultimately determine our value and the value that we bring to the workplace and what we do. So it's called a law of compensation, right, by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Here's what he said. He said, these things will dictate how much money you can make, the need for what you do, how well you do it, right? And how easily you can be replaced. So let's say if you start a catering business, well, people are starting catering business everywhere, right?
Yep.
So number one, the need for what you do is not that great, right? You can be replaced by anybody because there's a lot of great cooks, right? And so when you look at that, that will give us some reality of, is this sustainable, what we're trying to do? Will it really create generational wealth? Will it put us in a position that we can have a long-term run with this particular idea? So when we look at that, if we don't, then we need to regroup. So like today, you see everybody's starting boutiques.
Yep.
Right? Everybody's starting boutiques. So even if you're starting a boutique and you feel passionate about it, you got to know at some point you're going to have to recreate yourself in
over
that process over and over again, because in this generation, everybody's starting boutiques. So what's going to happen in the next generation? There's going to be a lot of people that's going to start boutiques in the next generation.
Correct.
Right?
Absolutely.
So if you don't recreate yourself in that process of being a boutique owner, then at some point you're going to be like Sears.
Right.
You'll end up
out of business. Absolutely. And then even the thing, like everything that's like the latest craze, so I'll use, for example, you know, we have a corporate apartment or whatever. So everybody got onto the Airbnb wave, right? And so we decided not to do Airbnb, to do a corporate apartment. Well, now like the apartment complexes are having issues with you doing anything at that point, right? So I was like, well, we don't do Airbnb. We don't rent it out every weekend, this is that or whatever. We literally rent to long-term stay nurses, right? That are travel nurses coming in the area. So my clients are normally they're like 90 days, 4 months, whatever it is, right? So now we got a notification from the apartment complex, oh, well, we don't like the subleasing and, you know, XYZ or whatever. That's because a lot of people really made it really bad, right? Because they started promoting, okay, you could do an Airbnb and da-da-da, and this is that or whatever. And naturally, people don't like short-term people in their places, like tearing it up or whatever. But it just makes it bad for other people, you know, business owners that's doing something else that's a little different that sounds like that or whatever. But a lot of people jump on different crazes and they just go at it until they wear it out, right? So that fad is, you know, it just makes it bad for other business owners. So then now you have to figure out like what's the next thing or whatever, right? So as opposed to, and that's my thing, like a lot of times we'll jump on what looks good. And again, my niche was, I'm not doing Airbnb, I'm doing corporate apartments. So my thing is, because I don't have that consistent turnover, like Airbnb, you're gonna rent it out, the person might be there 3-4 days, you got to get a cleaning crew to come in at least 4 and 5 times a month. I don't have the cleaning crew come in 3 or 4 times a year at a corporate apartment, right? And so like when people jump on different fads of business or whatever, it makes money, but it makes money on a short-term basis as opposed to longevity. We're not thinking in terms of, let me do what I'm passionate about, because first of all, you're gonna have longevity if you're operating in your gift and doing what you're passionate about, and then the business will have longevity. Without a doubt. Because you're operating in your gift.
Exactly.
So how do you feel about like monetizing your gift? Like, because this is, you do what you love to do.
Right, without a doubt.
Right, so let's talk about that.
So when we look in the context, and I try to balance life, because everybody that watch us, everybody that talk to us, everybody that we run into are not Christians. I think one of the greatest misunderstandings is Christians believe in our mind, right, that people have to have Jesus in their life to be successful. To go to heaven, that may be true. To have eternal life, that may be true. But to have a successful marriage, to be a successful parent, to be a successful business owner, that's not true.
Correct.
Right? So the Bible does says, listen, he says your gift will make room for you. That's not plural, it's singular. The challenge in life is figuring out what that gift is. That's the greatest challenge. So then you have to have people around you that can help you identify, put you on the path to being able to do that. But you have to monetize your gift. I can't think of the verse verbatim, but there's a scripture in the book of Proverbs that says, blessed is the man that selleth the corn.
Okay.
Right? So giving it away or withholding it is one thing, but selling it is another thing. I had a apostle tell me, he said, what you're doing is you're trying to give it away, but God wants you to sell it. Right? So I believe that it's in God's interest for us that we monetize our gift. One of the biggest issues in Christianity and in especially the Black church, there's a verse in the New Testament that says that Jesus says, he says, listen, when his mother and father leave him, he's 12 years old, and they leave him, they go over to another city, and then they come back, and he says at the end, he says, you didn't know I had to be about my father's business, right? So we have to understand that this is a business.
Correct.
You know, you can flip it, and I know people may have done some things wrong and may have not properly managed it. I get all of that. That comes with the territory. But at the end of the day, this is a business.
Yeah.
This is a business. We even came up with the phrase, we're in the business of what? Winning souls.
Winning souls, right.
So you have to get to a place where you understand that your gift is all that you need. It's your generational wealth, it's your health, it's your success, it's your guide, it's your discipline. Everything is tied to your gift. And so that has to be the first thing. Let's figure out what this gift is, and then let's figure out how we can take this gift, because the purpose of your gift is how you monetize it, is you serve it to mankind.
Absolutely.
Right? When you serve your gift to mankind, that's how you bring in the money.
Correct.
And the depth of how many people you can serve would determine the value that you're able to assess to those who you bring your gift to.
Correct.
So if you're Amazon and you're servicing millions of people, then your value can be accessed at billions and trillions of dollars.
Absolutely.
Right? Because of the amount of people that you bring and you serve your gift to. So it's all about serving the world with your gift.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So y'all heard that, right? Serving the world. It's about, again, when you start showing up in your gift, you start attracting the people that need that, right? But if you hiding behind the scenes and nobody know, like your business can't be the world's best kept secret. Like people should know what you do, who you service, how you can help them, those type of things or whatever. And like he initially said, like you have to be meeting a need. But one of the things you'll realize, whatever it is that your gift is and whatever you're gifting in, it is a need for somebody. You just have to get in front of those particular individuals to make sure that they understand you're the answer to whatever their problem is, right? So that's all a business is. A business is a solution to a problem.
That's all it is.
You just have to figure out who has the problem.
It's
just that simple. Who has the problem that I am the answer to, right? And stop hiding behind your gift. A lot of times we are so scared to show up in that or whatever. And I was just on a podcast Sunday before last. So actually I was on a podcast last month and they were like, oh my God, this is the first time we've ever asked anybody, can you come back for a second time? Because we really enjoyed this topic. So they were talking about how typically a lot of people are afraid to open their business or show up in their gift because they're afraid of how family and friends are going to respond. You ever had that situation?
Oh, I
We
almost
all
said
hate-
something.
Almost got out of character, in character.
I thank God for Priscilla Johnson. That's my mom, in case you didn't know. She didn't teach me anything. She told me not to give a who know about what. Because at the end of the day, well, studies show that a person, the average person who has an idea, right, fails at it about 86% of the time.
Okay.
And it happens because they fail in their mind before they ever attempt it, right? And I think if you're looking at family and friends and what they think about you, you're not in a place mentally to go into business or do anything.
Correct.
Whether it's business, whether you want to get married, but you're concerned about what people say, because your mindset is about people. See, what we don't tell the truth about, like you talked about, the results. Know this: if you're going to be in business, there's going to be a lot of your life. Listen. That you're going to have to be selfish.
This is
we don't
true.
tell people the truth.
Yes.
A large part of your life, you're going to have to be selfish with your time, your vision. And listen, some of the most selfish people in the world today are children. And it's very difficult to balance business, life, and children.
It is.
Right? Especially with mothers. Because the demand on a mother is far greater than it's on a father.
It is.
We could say we want to say that's the reality.
That's a reality.
But if we looking at life, if you have not come to a place to where you are stable and confident in yourself and you don't care about what people say, definitely, without fail, anything but business is not the place that you need to be.
It is not.
Now, until you rectify that problem to where you love those people, right? And you hear them, but they're not your concern.
And that's the thing, like I was sharing, first of all, I tell my clients from the beginning, when you go into business, understand your family and friends are probably going to be your last supporters. They're not going to run up right off the bat and purchase, don't be okay with that, right? One of the things I had, and I was disappointed because again, I've been a full-time entrepreneur for 12 years. So I thought like a lot of my friends and family, okay, they're going to ride with me X, Y, Z. And that couldn't have been furthest from the truth, right? And so I was disappointed initially. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't disappointed. I was pissed. I'm going to be honest. I was pissed because I'm thinking that they would be, whatever. And it took me years to realize, first of all, most of my family is not my target audience for my business. That's the first thing. Second thing, let them people off the hook, right? Because God has a whole world full of strangers that are looking to support you once they know what it is that you do, right? So I have strangers, people that are friends now but were strangers then, that have supported me way more than family has, right? And so, right, him being one, right? Because I got brothers that have never purchased anything, and he's been my longtime client for like 7 years at this point, right? So again, a whole world of strangers out there waiting to support you when they know how they can support you, right? So you have to start opening your mouth and talking about what it is that you do. And then thirdly, most of them don't want you to outgrow them. That's why they're not supporting.
Oh yeah, that's number one.
Because the thing is, most of us will start here, right? Like Drake says, start at the bottom, especially our friends. So we start here with our friends or whatever. But if they support you, because most of them, I'm not going to say most of them, but a lot of them are complacent where they are in life, whether it's a horrible situation or whatever it is, and they're too afraid to take a leap to move forward or whatever it is, right? So as opposed to them supporting you, because what you're gonna do is leave them behind. So you're gonna start growing. Like if they feed money into your business and whatever it is that you're doing, you're gonna keep growing and you're gonna leave them behind, right? But if you get here and they're still here, you are a reflection of them being stuck. Right. You're a reflection of, I really wanted to do it, but I was too scared to do it, whatever it is. And as opposed to them saying, I'm stuck, I can't move, they're gonna try to pull you backward as opposed to them trying to move forward, right? So at certain point, most of them ain't gonna support you, but if they do, it's gonna be very minimal. Cool. And then you're gonna get all kind of negative feedback and all this other stuff or whatever, because I'm very uncomfortable, but I'm too scared to move forward. But I would rather pull you backwards than to me move forward and go up with you, right? So you're gonna have those issues in friendships, you're gonna have those issues from family, and like he said, you have to get to a season where you're comfortable with being by yourself.
Right, without a doubt, because So I was talking to a young man that I mentor, and one of the things that nobody really talks about is what's the purpose of family, right? Why do God put us inside of a family, right? So number one, family is the first sign of any type of group and team. Right? So it gives us the training to be able to work with other people with a different mindset, right? But one of the big things family does is it prepares us for the world. Okay. So if my sister or my brother or my cousin or my auntie or my uncle, right, cannot support me, turn their back on me, betray me, and they love me, right? If they could do that to me, but I'm still gonna love them, then when I get outside in the world, you betraying me is not an issue.
Not at all. I had family do this already.
Family did this to me already, right? Nobody talks about us like family. So when I get out in the world and my girlfriend, I'm talking, my homeboy or whoever is talking about me behind my back, it's not a big deal.
Not at
all. Because family been talking
already
about
did
me
it, right?
all my life.
I'm used to this.
Right, I'm used to this. So when you understand that narrative, that family train us for the real world, right? So when we get out there now, at my age, especially in life, It don't matter what you do to me out there. Number one, it don't surprise me. Number two, I've been through it already.
Correct.
Number three, I'm not going to give you that much time and energy because my family done trained me with this.
Yeah.
Talking about me, betraying me, saying I ain't no good, saying I'm not this, I don't do this, I don't do that. Well,
Okay.
I've been dealing with that, right?
Yeah.
So when I understand that outside world, I've already been trained for it. I look at it for a totally different perspective. And then I say, well, those family members, number one, not just family members, but most people are very comfortable with where they are.
They are.
They're very comfortable. And then another thing is that was maybe about a year ago, God told me to really study the subconscious mind. That's where life is really lived, is in the subconscious mind, right? Some of these things that family and friends are doing to us, they don't even know they're doing them.
That's crazy.
They don't even know because in their mind they're just doing something and they're not thinking about the impact that it has on us. I like to use this story. One of my close and favorite aunts. I've always been a dreamer in my life, right? And so I was living with her for a time period in my life, and I had a wall. I had a luxury car, a big house, a Rolex watch on the wall, and I would just look at it every time I would go in the room. And this is one of my favorite aunts, right? There's only two of them, so if you know me, you can figure out probably who he is. So she said to me one day, "That's why you'll never have nothing because you dream too much." Right?
Okay.
Now, in her mind, right, what she thought she was doing is saving me from heartache and from failure, right? But in my mind, I'm saying to myself, you're supposed to be one of my biggest supporters. Right? But she didn't even know what she was doing, right? But everything that was on that wall, I've surpassed all of that because I understood what family was about and what family was for. So you have to definitely reshape your mind. And that's why when I always come on the show, one of the things I always highlight is you need a coach and you need a mentor.
Yeah.
You need both of those, right, in your life. And it doesn't matter at what stage. If Michael Jordan can have a coach, if Tiger Woods can have a coach, if Jesus himself had a coach called John the Baptist, then I think we all need coaches.
Yep,
We all need
absolutely. And a lot of times, I feel like right now we're in a season of unlearning a lot of stuff that the old people taught us, right? We literally have to tear down everything that we learned as like our generation, like this new generation. They didn't take up all that stuff. Like the stuff that we were taught stuff like, like your aunt said or whatever. Your head's always in the cloud or whatever. You always dreaming.
Right.
We teach our children now, y'all need to dream because that's where it starts, right? Your life reality, your future life reality starts with a dream today. It starts as a dream. You work on it. You do the manifestation process. It manifests into your real life, right? But it all starts with a dream. That's all a vision board is. A whole board full of pictures. That's a dream, right? They taught us like, it was imperative that you go to college and X, Y, Z. We can see people make millionaires now and don't even go to college. That ain't necessary.
Right.
If you want to go to college, college is great. I applaud it. I have 2 college degrees or whatever, right? But it ain't necessary. You can be very successful, generate 6 and 7 figures and never step foot on a college campus, right? So that's just the reality of it. So a lot of the things that the old people taught us, even the way of mothering, right? Parenting.
Right.
Like they said, you're supposed to sacrifice everything. You got to make sure the kid's good. You got to make sure. Who's telling us how to be good? Ain't nobody told us we got to make sure we good. So we just run on E.
I got a whole theory about that kid thing. But
I got a whole theory about that too. That's what we're going to talk about the next show.
I got a theory about that because, I've seen a lot of people. And listen, parenting is one of the most diverse areas of life that we can ever embark upon. I mean, it's diverse because there's so many different variables. But I told you this earlier, that kids are the most selfish human beings on the planet.
And I think they are because we allow them to be.
Without a doubt.
I think like children are blank slates. So we teach them how to treat us as parents, to be honest, right? So if we keep pouring into them and giving them everything and doing all this and doing all that or whatever, then naturally they're going to keep on looking for that, right?
Right.
We as parents have to do a better job of taking care of ourselves so that we can make sure that we groom them into being people and teaching them how to teach us as parents. Because again, we've been taught as moms, like, okay, moms are nurturers. You're supposed to be giving to the children, making sure the children are good, and this is that or whatever. Nobody ever told us, like, we got to make sure we good
You're going to
first.
wake up and your life going to be gone.
And that's why a lot of women suffer from empty nest syndrome. I'm convinced, right? Because we get ingrained in the mundane of, or I gotta make sure everybody else good, and we forget what we like,
Right.
who we are. We lose our identity in roles. We go into motherhood. I'm gonna be a mother. I'm gonna do this and that. And then next thing you know, when the children get to be adults and they go off to live their life, then we don't know
And they
who
gonna
we
live
are.
their life.
And they should.
They gonna
They
live
should.
their life.
But we done wrapped our lives so much in them and being a mom and a father and a parent and this and that, we lose our own identity. So then
Right.
at what point do we regain our identity? So because
Right.
now you're going through this depression phase because now the children are grown and gone and this that. You wanted your children to be grown and gone.
Of course, and so one of the things I had to learn to do is I look back at generations, right? So our, because we're the same age practically, so our mothers primarily taught us what they knew, right?
Yep.
And then when it went beyond what they knew, they told us to go to college. This generation of parents, right? They teach what they know, right? And they have much more availability of what they don't know in the area of parenting, but they don't pursue it. So what happens is that when our generation should be growing in leaps and bounds based on, if you look at our grandmothers and our mothers based on what they knew, and then mothers and grandmothers today based on what they knew, I mean, they're worlds apart. I mean, you can't even compare them. But the difference is, and this is the analogy that I use, I can't, as a father and as a parent, it has to start with me. So the challenge is to be able to look at life as a father, mother, grandmother, or grandfather in 2023. If you have a child of whatever age, right? In high school, middle school, whatever. But the challenge is to go about 20 to 25 years into the future. Figure out where the world is going, what the world is going to be like as it relates to relationships, as it relates to economics, as it relates to spirituality, as it relates to health. Figure that out, right, as best you can, and then come back into today's world, and then prepare them for that world.
Yeah, absolutely.
The problem with us is our parents and grandmothers, right, and grandparents prepared us for a world that's no longer here.
Absolutely.
Think about it.
Yep.
Go to high school, go to college, get a good job. Well, nobody stays on a job these days more than 3 to 5 years.
40 years.
No
yeah.
30 and 40 years.
Nope.
So where's that world? That world is gone.
Absolutely.
So where we are now is we're falling prey to that same type of mindset with much more information, much more opportunity, much more finances available to us, all of this, and we're still in that same mindset. Here's the issue. AI is saying that world that you're preparing your children for, it's no longer going to be here.
Correct.
So the challenge is now is we're making all this hysteria. No, we knew 10 years ago, 15 years ago that AI was coming. We knew 5, 7, 10 years ago that 43% of all jobs held by African Americans will be gone as a result
And replaced by robots.
Right. So when we think about parenting in our children, we have to start to look at a much broader scope of life, and we have to be much more creative. We have to be much more attentive. We have to do much more research, and then we have to do a lot of thinking and meditating, because it's not easy to figure out where the world is going 25 years from now. Right? That's going to take some time.
It's ever evolving right now. We see it every other day.
Right. So those are the things that we have to consider with being parents. And now you got to couple that with, I got my own life.
Correct.
Right? I got my own dreams. I got my own goals. I got my own things I want to accomplish. And so one of the things I do as a father is I try to give my kids as much responsibility and as much as the cliche say, as much rope as possible to hang themselves. Because the difficult thing for you and me to do is we give our children everything that we didn't have. We all do that, right? But we can't recreate the struggle. That's the difficult thing.
And that's what I feel like the struggle is what gave us character, right? It developed us.
Right,
and they missed the struggle, so they missed that part, right?
Right.
And you have like a lot of weak children that are growing into adulthood that don't know how to handle pressure, because adulthood gonna give you pressure.
Right.
It don't matter what you was comforted from or sheltered from when you were a kid. When you cross over into adulthood, you gonna get that pressure right? And they don't know how to handle it. We had the struggle, so we know how to handle pressure. They don't. So we done deprived them of something that was really valuable to us. We're going to continue this conversation on the next show. So we're going to wrap this one up, and we're going to come talk about like moving in new directions in the area of parenthood, how some of the other things that we need to do to prepare our children for the next generation and to prepare ourselves. Because I started realizing like I did a lot of work to prepare my son to leave off to college, but I forgot to prepare myself for when he leaves. Like, I'm going to miss him. So we're going to talk about this on the next show, y'all. Stay tuned. Next time, same place, same bad channel, moving in new directions. See y'all next week. Bye, y'all. Welcome to Go Getter University. It's the home and a one-stop for entrepreneurs teaching all things entrepreneurship. We have courses ranging from how to start a business, how to start a nonprofit organization, to how to generate your first 10K consistent month, on to grant writing. Anything that you want to learn about entrepreneurship, it is in Go Getter University. Follow us at www.goalgetteruniversity.com to register.